an understatement. I'm sorry for the heat for the evening. I can't do anything. We just opened the windows, I think the first time in 75 years. Anyway, my name is Bob Salerno. I'm the president of the Historical Society. I'm kind of the ringleader of this crowd of characters you see around me. First of all, cell phones on stun are off. Since 1854, there was no cell phones. Tonight's agenda is centered around a Civil War theme. I'm going to provide some background about West Stockbridge during that period and the results of some of our research that we did around the town in about the 1860s, not long. And then Sheila Fikowski will introduce the first piece of the Dvorak narrative, which I heard the rehearsal this afternoon. One of my fears about many of this building was that the space would be terrible for the musicians. And I got to tell you, Kathy's comment was like it was built for quartets. So I'm really excited about that. Then we'll have a break, an intermission, for about 10 minutes for people to stand up and stretch. And then we'll go into the Brahms Clarinet Quintet. At the conclusion, we will choose the winner of the raffle basket, which you hopefully have all got to see. We went around to all the local merchants in West Stockbridge and asked them if they would like to contribute something for a basket. We've got over $400 worth of stuff, which is awesome. And I really thank all the merchants, and I think you all should. So, the genesis of this concert, believe it or not, started 8 years ago at the Zucchini Festival when it was raining like mad, and Stuart Collar was running around with a clipboard saying, "Sign a petition to save the old town hall." The town offices, as we know, were moving out. The town wanted to get rid of it. It was a white elephant, da-da-da-da. Stuart was standing there with water dripping on him. We had, we wound up with over 400 signatures. And since then, a lot has happened, and you all are part of it. The Historical Society has been reborn. Somebody asked me when we started, the society started in 1994. Warren, where's Warren? Is he around? Warren's one of the original founders, along with Edmund Garnett. Bonnie Benson was here, Edmund's daughter. The Historical Society, we now number almost 250 people, which is amazing in a town of 1,300. And when you consider the big heavy hitters like Amherst, which has about 10 times the size of us, Amherst has about 65 people. So just to give you a sense of the strength of numbers, this is impressive. We got the town to sell us the town hall for $1. And we were both sides were laughing, wondering who got the better deal. We did get the building placed on the National Register of Historic Places. We have a plaque that we will put up as soon as we get to that point. We got a seed money planning grant to hire architects to figure out the ADA requirements and all the things. That was impressive because the town had never gotten any kind of grant for anything like that before. We got a new furnace. We won't put it on tonight. So there's a lot that remains to be done. I mean, we're here by the grace of God, the building inspector, and our architects, Pam Sandler and Dana Bixby, who I don't know what they did to him, but he turned the other way. We don't fit fire code, we don't fit ADA requirements, all that. We got a lot to do. But they let us do this, which is just really cool. So, a little bit about the space. If you're going to look around and try and imagine what this space was like. There were some town meetings here. One person told me they had over 300 people, God knows where. There was one town meeting where the police had to be called because somebody was escorted down the stairs rather forcefully. We're not going to do that tonight. But you can imagine this stage. The stage was built in 1885. It's not original. They had graduations here for the local school. There were tap dance lessons here. There was singing here. I won't do any of that tonight. There were sewing classes. We had movies when they were talkies, all done here. Dancing classes, lectures. This was the center of West Stockbridge, and that's what our intent is, to make this the center of West Stockbridge again. That's why I'm so happy to see so many people. Some details, as you all might remember, this was filled with office office space. And we tore it apart. It was very cathartic. We had a dumpster outside, and we had a great time throwing stuff out. But when we tore things down, we found some interesting things. You notice what looks like a pie plate up there or a pie plate over there. The building had 2 pot-belly stoves that they used to heat. We won't do that again. We have a replica pot-belly stove downstairs. We're not going to use that, obviously. The stage, as I said, 1885. I don't know what this is, this door over here. I still can't figure out. It's too small to bring a piano in. There's no ramp. Why they built that on the stage, I have no idea. So we'll have to figure that out. There's really great crown molding up there. It stops. We don't know why. If it went all the way around and was torn down, why? That's other things we have to see. But tonight's program about the Civil War was buried behind Jimmy Vosberg, the building inspector's office. And I don't know if anybody's ever been in there, but the place was a disaster. But buried behind there, maybe for good, was this plaque listing all the soldiers that died in the Civil War dead. So imagine, now I'll take you back to the Civil War, imagine 150 years ago. Right? It's May 1861. Fort Sumter, 30 days ago, Fort Sumter fell. A little bit before that, South Carolina seceded. And South Carolina started the ball rolling. Eventually, there were 11 states that seceded. South Carolina had actually tried to secede in the late 1820s, when John Calhoun was there, and had kept on agitating. They finally succeeded in doing it when Lincoln was elected because of the issue of slavery. They didn't want the federal government to stop slave states from coming in, and they knew slavery was doomed. So here you are sitting here, you're Northerners. First of all, you didn't really care about slavery. You wanted to keep the Union. The North fought to keep the Union, less so until Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation. I went through the 1860 census for West Stockbridge, 42 pages, and went page by page. We had 1,500 people. And 53 of them were listed as black or mulatto. The black population here were all farmers or miners, and every wife was listed as a washwoman. Go figure.
Boy, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's happening now. None of the blacks could read or write, because you had to check them off on the census. However, every one of their kids were listed as going to school. The Irish immigrants, by the way, also could not read or write, and about half of their kids did not go to school. So, figure that out. The last thing was that one of the census takers, there was a column to list if you were a pauper. This guy listed every black as a pauper, even though they owned property and owned farms. And none of the Irish or anything else. So clearly the racism was still...
Could they vote?
No, they couldn't vote. Are you kidding? No. So, Lincoln, when Sumter fell, Lincoln called for 75,000 soldiers. That's all he thought he needed. So we were sitting here thinking, oh, this is a glorious war. We had a few people enlist from Berkshire County and from West Stockbridge. This will be over. This is a slam dunk. This will be done. This is like Iraq 1, Iraq 2. No problem. They're going to welcome us with flowers. Little did they know what they were facing. At the end of the war, there were over 2 million men in uniform. 700,000 that we know of lost their lives. Many more civilians in the South. So it was a challenge. It was a time for America and a time for our town, unlike anything we've ever seen, and hopefully we'll never experience again. So, that being said, I'd like to introduce Sheila, those running down together, and the West Stockbridge Chamber Players. And you guys are here to do this. Awesome. Wow, thank you all for actually starting names on the plaque I mentioned, in the town of 1,500 people, and we're 1,300 now. Imagine if we lost 20 young people, what the impact would be on this town. One of the things we found is this broadside. This is a blow-up that Joel made, and I don't know if you all saw it. It calls for a war meeting. The inhabitants of West Stockbridge and vicinity are requested to meet in Town Hall, Rectory City, 28th, this is August 28th, at 2 o'clock, for the purpose of considering the present and pending crisis of our country. Interesting way of putting it. And General Briggs, who had lost one leg in the early part of the war, was here to talk and so on. Well, it turns out, doing a little research, a number of these guys went to this meeting, loved it, and signed up. And there were a couple things that came out on the plaque when we actually looked at it. There are two names on there, and if you look at the regiments say COL''D. Turns out they were colored regiments. One of them was Christopher Pennell, who was an officer in one of the, because they didn't let blacks be officers, because God knows they wouldn't be very good. So they had all the whites being officers because they had all the money. Anyway, Christopher Pennell, 20 years old, I think he was, or 21, died in the Battle of Petersburg in the crater, which is in the movie Glory. You all know what happened. You might know what happened there, where they blew up the Confederate fortification. They had such a huge battle, explosion. It was a big crater. Sent all the black troops in, and they proceeded to get massacred. So that was one. The other is the last name, Robert H. Robinson. The Robinson family were a black family in town, lived up the road. You know where the Red House is, just before you turn right to go on 41. His father was a sexton in the Congregational Church. He was barely 18 years old, enlisted, served in the 5th Cavalry, 5th Negro Cavalry, as a corporal. Wound up dying 3 years after of disease, I think, or maybe his wounds. But one of the interesting things I found out is he survived a massacre in Virginia, a town called Saltville. They sent the black regiment in to take over the salt works. And they had a tremendous battle with the Confederates, pulled back, and they had a number of wounded soldiers. The Confederates overran the black hospital and proceeded to kill every black soldier who was in the hospital. He survived that, barely, and got out. This was not a nice war. Not that any of them were nice. The third one is a man named John Milton Bromwell, and we actually have his diary, which is fascinating reading. 33 years old, was a master carpenter and a teacher in town, had one child and one on the way. Signed up because he got a $100 bounty. $100 was well over a year's worth of income. Went to Pittsfield, went to various places, and his diary has some great descriptions of camp life, which is about as disgusting in terms of food. Many people died of, pick your disease, cholera, diphtheria, the water was bad, dysentery, I mean, the whole 9 yards. Actually stopped in New York, and he has some great comments about New York, mostly the brothels and bars, and trying to pull the soldiers out of the brothels and bars. They wound up in Louisiana, and he wound up in battle with Port Hudson. And this is the comment about him. John M. Gamwell was found within pistol shot of the walls of Port Hudson. It's supposed he went so close that he might more effectively shoot the gunners of the enemy without considering the danger to his own life. This is another one of these go charge the guns. Mr. Niffen, who was a major leader in the town in the big, was with him, said that John Gamwell, a cannonball, took off both of his legs. The wounded man bade his companions not to trouble themselves about him, but to continue fighting. He died, so Mr. K told me, in about 20 minutes. That's what Memorial Day is all about. So, quick moment of silence for these people. Okay, on to the next upstairs where we get to meet the musicians and each other, and it's a lot cooler. So, it's all yours. Let's welcome that. Some of you might or might not know West Stockbridge was founded by 5 families way back in 1774. They came up from Connecticut. And we are fortunate to have a descendant, direct descendant, from one of the families, Dick Moffat. So he's the least corrupt old office. I'd like to tell you. Okay, the number is ready, 729-4366. I'd like you all now to join us downstairs for a reception. It's a lot cooler outside. Thank you all very, very much.
Good,